Hello, and welcome to the Hypno Travelers on the Magical Psyche Highway podcast. That's right. Your host and tour guide is Scott Prevet, a healer, hypnotist, and a magician. And your bus driver is Jason Gobelli, also a hypnotist, an entrepreneur, and a spiritual guide. Disclaimer, neither Jason, Scott, or any of our guests here today are licensed professional psychologists or psychiatrists. So please don't make any changes to any medication or treatments that you are currently on based on the conversation that you hear here today. Just hop on the bus and enjoy the ride. Trip with us on the Inner Revelation bus. That's right.
Hi, I'm Jason. Welcome back to the Hypno Travelers on the Magical Psyche Highway. We are super excited today, aren't we, Scott?
Okay, I got a great guest for you guys all the way from New York City.
That's right, New York City, Brooklyn. As a matter of fact, we're excited to have the great Greg Bornstein. How are you, Greg?
Yes, I am so excited to be here. Thank you both for having me on. It's my favorite topic. It's the most interesting topic, the subconscious mind, the power of it, hypnosis. I'm ready to go into it. I can't wait to chat with you both.
Well, this is wonderful, Greg, but this isn't just hypnosis. We got a better topic. The topic's you. So
Oh
we're going to
man.
talk about you. So let's travel down your highway, which is definitely a lot more than just hypnosis. So let's start. Who are you and what do you do?
It's a great question. Yes. I recently had this thought, by the way, that I wanted maybe I'll trace the dots back to this by the end of this episode, but that life is a cult and your identity is the initiation. Think about that for later. Okay, so what I was going to say is this: what am I? What does that
I like
mean?
that.
Um, I I I am somebody that has always loved the unseen and the potential of things since I was a kid. Point blank. I mean, look, and you might be able to tell, I have a performing background. I went to school for theater. I loved comedy growing up. I love magic. Magic, actually, performing magic was my big foray into all the hypnotic arts and all the kind of alternative, the gateway into alternative belief systems and spirituality and stuff like that. But the I think that combination of liking to perform in front of an audience or at least engage groups of people, whether it's with storytelling, acting, or any kind of inspiration or transformation, met with the sense that there is something more interesting than what I suppose. How do I put this? Everyday waking reality, the societal one we're fed, capitalism, have a family, build a house, go into nature. I mean, I do think these are, and I actually now have changed my view on things. I used to be like, everything normal was boring and everything weird is great. It's a little more complicated than that as I've become older, but I think my baseline has always said human potential, environmental potential, weird things that are beyond what we see on the surface. I think that ties back into the magic, why I liked magic as a kid and illusion and play with that, and why now it's very much turned into a very dedicated passion to hypnosis, as well as a podcast I host called Open Loops with Greg Bornstein, Conversations That Bend, which is all about exploring these ideas, these mind-bending ideas. So that's been my performing outlet. I look at myself as a hypnosis broadcaster, either hypnotizing the audience to want to believe in hypnosis or these other ideas, or just sharing the latest, getting people excited about the potential of their minds. And I do a little hypnosis now and then on the side too. But yeah, I'm on the mission to bring all these things together in as much coherence as possible. With the baseline being I love performing And I like that there's something more than what we understand. And I'm on a mission to figure out what that is and share it.
Nice, nice. Well, speaking about performance and your baseline and everything based on your background, so what is the performance Greg? The one on the stage, the one that's there. How different is that from the Greg that's real?
Oh man. Oh gosh. Okay. Now we're in Dr. Phil territory here. Okay, so wait a sec. Let me think about this. How different is he? Oh, this has been a lifelong battle, guys. This has been the lifelong question. Um, because I sometimes don't know. I think, I think the Greg, I think I've come to realize that if the Greg that was a performer was hanging around in life all the time with family, friends, whatnot, they get it's not grounded, it's not real, it's not, there's something about it that isn't 100%. I know not to be on all the time, and I know all of us know people that are like that, that are on all the time. That said, though, on the flip side of it, when I'm with people and I feel my most expansive self, I do feel strangely in alignment with this kind of, oh gosh, I'm not even sure. I mean, honestly, I would say vaudevillian is the word I've been hanging my hat on it a lot these days. I feel kind of like I'm a vaudevillian magician, hypnotist, host figure. I think that's kind of the performer, but it's, when I feel my most comfortable with people, I feel like sometimes those proclivities to be a little performative, or at least take the words and the ideas that are being thrown into the ether and twist them into making them something, again, beyond what's there on the surface reality, is just a natural part of the conversation. It's been a lifelong battle. I shouldn't even say battle, but I would say a lifelong dilemma among many existential dilemmas of, where is Greg? Who is Greg? Who is Greg in this moment? Why don't I feel like myself in this moment versus this one? But I'm very much am now accepting that I think the entertainer is Greg and Greg is the entertainer.
Yes, Greg, it seems like though, from what you're telling me with this connection that you have, that a lot of times you go into a different direction, even when you're entertaining, where you dig something inside and it takes you to a different spot. What's that like?
Yes, yes. Okay, so look, I don't know if I believe in human design. I'm sure people have come on your show and talked about human design and astrology and whatnot. Human design is a form of astrology and I Ching and numerology. I recently redid my reading for my human design, and there's a part of the reading, the left angle cross of incarnation. There's a letter incarnate. I forget the order of it, but this thing is supposed to be what guides you in life. It's like your direction, your life purpose. Mine is the left angle cross of distraction. That word distraction is there for me. And by the way, I am someone that is skeptical most of the time. I mean, on my show, I'm not afraid. I think that's actually what's interesting about the show. I have alien people on, and I really try to challenge different belief systems. I really try to look at it from, if I was as skeptical as James Randi or Penn and Teller, what is the question I could ask that will still have the other person respect and not feel like I'm looking down on them, because I'm not, but also the bridge of the two different worldviews. So that is a key part of me. What I was going to say, and I'm already doing this with distraction here, is that this human design thing very much spoke to me. And when I've been doing it for other people, theirs has aligned really strangely accurately too, in a way that goes beyond the Barnum effect. Um, I It says, what do you like to do, Greg? You like to deliberately get lost. Deliberately get lost, deliberately like to go on tangents and then bring people back around as a means of influence or inspiration. And as I'm sitting there, I'm going, oh my gosh, this is why I listen to Richard Bandler stuff over and over and over. This is why this guy is my guy. Because I mean, yeah, and in terms of being a hypnotic influencer, the most hypnotic people I've seen speak. I think you both know James Tripp. I also think is a great example of this. I know he's been on your show. He's been on mine as well. Here's a guy that goes off in so many different directions, but always brings it back. So I feel like the art in getting lost in whatever arises in the mind and following that path, even if it doesn't seem related, and trusting it's going to get you there. I think that's actually, it's not even some these days they call it ADHD and stuff like that or whatever. I don't think it's that. I think it's actually the chaos, and I say this in quotes, magic with a K that is emerging from my core just naturally because it's the way in which I want to see things and experience things. The breadth of subjects that arise from within that speak to the world and then making them come together and sometimes leaving them open for more.
So, would it be fair to say that you use distraction and illusion as a way to create focus to where you want to go so that you can control?
Whoa, that sounds like I'm a sicko when you put it that way.
Good.
I mean, no, but I know what you're saying. I'm like, oh gosh, an ordained minister just told me that I I need to get my ethics in order right now.
No, I'm not. That wasn't an ethics question. That was a direction
No.
question. That
No,
was
no,
your focus and direction to get to where you want to go.
I think yeah, I would say so. Yeah. And I don't always, what's been tricky with hypnosis is, and I guess I am doing it right now, even as I'm doing it, it's very hard because I get meta on meta on meta, which is probably also why I love hypnosis and NLP because everything is meta. Everything is meta. But I, one of the things that I'm still working through with hypnosis. And actually, I mean, Jason, if you come on my show, I know the questions I'm going to ask you already, which is the lines between the religious work and the hypnosis and kind of the playing space of the ethics. Because here's why I don't always know if it's good to I'm confused still about moving people covertly with hypnosis. In terms of, I think I grew up with a very firm, I mean, I'm of the Jewish persuasion. There's a lot of guilt. You say hypnosis and people go, oh, like, and so I'm very aware of not sitting around and being like, yeah, and as you meet me right now, isn't it interesting how quickly you begin to feel wonderful? Like all that gobbledygook that a lot of hypnotists use. I almost, in a way, distance myself from conversational hypnosis, even though I really want to understand it and master it, like I know I do, because sometimes I wonder if unconsciously moving people that way is more aligned with a sense of ethical rightness than consciously being like, okay, I'm going to use this distraction tactic to get them to go my way. Like it's something about that I definitely have wrestled with throughout my entire time studying hypnosis. And I say that as somebody that has studied magic and loves Penn and Teller. And I think that's been my compromise. And part of what I've been doing on the show too, guys, is that I said very outright at the beginning, I'm a cultural hypnotist. What does that mean? It was just a different word than thought leader, different word than influencer. I knew what I was doing. I know what I'm doing every time I put out an episode with a interesting title, with a clickbaity title, or I'm trying, like, I know what I'm doing. I am actually deliberately, like you said, distracting people in a way to get them in a certain direction. And I feel like it's almost part of my responsibility. And I think that's almost the magic of hypnosis. See, look, at first I was doubting myself, and now I'm coming back around to it. This is always what happens. Is that by actually showcasing and sharing the methods of influence and the mechanics of the imagination and the way hypnosis works and empowering people to understand it in the same way that Penn and Teller let you know that they're lying. And isn't it amazing that your brain does this anyways and they still do a trick that fools you? That's been the best compromise for me with hypnosis. It's, hey, hear what I did there? That was an embedded command, and yet you still feel better, don't you? Like that's to me is the way I've been bridging the gap. So I guess in conclusion, yes, you are correct. I am distracting as a mean to get to what I want, even though I'm not always as consciously aware that I'm doing it when I'm doing it. And I believe I can develop even better skills to do it in a way that feels effortless and makes mutually beneficial outcomes for everyone.
Nice, nice. So let's switch directions here. When did you first have that aha moment? Like, wow, I'm really going to be able to help people and change lives. What was that all about?
Ooh, okay. I mean, I actually didn't. That's very interesting. Well, there are two key moments for me that I can think of. One, because I always was like, oh, I'm supposed to be an entertainer. I'm an actor. I went to acting school. Um, and I was going around openly again. This is like the ethics guy going around telling to my peers, like, oh, okay, isn't it great that you want to do this acting thing? But let's be honest, you really just want the applause, right? Like, you don't want to tell these stories. We all make this excuse in acting school. Oh, we're here to level up the work of the playwright. The playwright wrote this stuff. We're here to tell a story. We're here to transform the audience. And there was a part of me that felt that was a little disingenuous, especially with my peers, because I saw how much people enjoyed getting praise for how well they were doing. And I guess a cynical part of me was going, you guys just want the applause. And then I sat there in college. So I was probably around 21, 22, and I realized, and this was a big shift for me. This will get to the second shift about kind of what I've been doing with the podcast and hypnosis in general. Um, First shift was that I realized, oh my gosh, Gene Kelly, Jimmy Stewart, I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Brooke Shields, Lucille, but all these people I've grown up loving, watching, pulling me in a deliberate direction, even when maybe you would say, distracting me in a way to influence me in a positive way during my day or afternoon. It's a gift they've given me by believing that they are capable of sharing something worth watching. That changed things for me. I realized, oh, wait a second. Yes, maybe the applause is great, but it's a mutual relationship. The audience is actually getting something. They're getting joy by watching an actor or a performer say, I believe I have something to say in a way I say it that is going to be energy that you want to receive. That flipped a switch for me. Then came the podcast. 2020, I was like, I don't know. I mean, I did a little hypnotherapy, I did a little coaching. Another disingenuous part of me, disingenuous debate rather with my different parts. It was in an inner parts conflict. One part was going, yes, this hypnosis stuff is so powerful. You can change lives. You're naturally able to do it. And it's enjoyable to do it. The other part said, Greg, you just want to entertain people and make them smile. What are you doing? You're just an entertainer. You just want applause. You don't care about helping people. All these healers are out there. Oh, we want to help people. You don't care about that. Um, and then I realized, it was a coach I worked with, this guy named Spencer Burnett, who he created a modality called precise language and was one of the early people that I would say has an amazing productivity system. I don't know if he's out there coaching about it anymore, but in 2020, I spoke all these inner conflicts to him. And then he said to my face, Greg, here's your problem, dude. You have too many open loops, too many interests, too many things you want to do, too many half started projects. And when you stack that many open loops, you feel down when you haven't completed them because it's just excess energy that hasn't been met and resolved. And I was like, holy crap, you just explained my mind back to me using a concept that I thought I understood what open loops and nested loops were, but you like flipped it in a way to make it personally relevant to me. That's crazy. And then he said, but who says you have to help people in the way that you think you need to help people? What if talking about what's interesting to you from your voice, from your lived perspective, from an honest perspective, is value in itself? And that's when something changed for me. I went, oh my gosh, I could do a show, and I could do a show where all these things, the performer and the intellectual interests and the mind technology, all of that stuff can come together, and it is going to be value to others. So that working with that coach and having him push me through and say, Greg, record your first 10 episodes, they're going to be terrible. Not to say the hypno travelers of the magical psychic, psyche, not to say you guys had terrible first 10 episodes. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that I knew I was prepared for my first 10 to be bad. And over time, what am I? I'm close to 300 now. They've become better. But I would say being the free frame of, you've got the loops. If you actually just put them out there, if you put your interest and ideas out there for people, all of a sudden that honesty and that truth and that delivery, that's going to help people. That was a big shift.
Nice. So, Scott, I don't want to hog the show. Do you have any questions, Scott?
Yeah,
Scott, you're muted.
I saw Scott writing stuff down. I feel
You're
like I'm in
muted.
the political debates.
Oh, I always.
All right.
Oh no. I always write stuff down. Um. So my question is, do you see clients right now?
I don't. I do not see clients right now.
You don't.
I've been No, that is I have another full-time job. I mean, it's not something that I'd be opposed to. But I would say again, I think from a purely mm, there's something about it that I haven't felt enough of a pull, or at least a way that I want to do hypnosis as a healing modality for me to regularly pursue clients. Um, and I'm looking for that. I think there are ways to do it. I feel like here's the truth about it, Scott. I think the solution is going to be a form of this that hasn't been invented yet, that is going to bring those core entertainment aspects of my personality back. I think that's where, uh, who is it? Is Tracy Cannon. She's a great example of this. I mean, I think there's some hypnotherapists out there that bring their stage hypnosis persona into it. Kyle Cease, the comedian who became a life coach and did transformational comedy. These are people that have inspired me and make me go, oh, it doesn't need to just look like Dave Ellman or Milton Erickson or you can Bandler. So yeah, I am still, I want to, before I, it's a question of always, I know it sounds like a, broken record of a hypnosis course. You need to wait till you're ready before you can charge. No, you already have enough value so you can, and they're giving you your time so you can start, maybe not even charging, but doing sessions for people or building like testimonials and getting yourself out there. I believe I could probably definitely do more of that, but I feel that I haven't wanted to sit down and be like, okay, I'm just gonna like start listing. I'm the stop smoking guy in Brooklyn and regular do those sessions. I haven't felt enough of a pull there yet.
But aren't you kind of the entertainment guy anyway?
That's true. That's true. So even if I were, it would be the entertainer stop smoking guy. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Well, I was wondering what you were getting at because this is your lane, not ours.
Oh, this is good. I like this. I like this. Yeah, no, I think there is it reminds me of one time I did a hypnosis training course with Dr. Yvonne Oswald in Canada. She's awesome. Um, and at the end of the course, someone was like, "You should just call yourself the NY Hypnosis Guy. Just park
That's
that
a good
domain
one.
right now and get it." And I remember thinking at the time, "Oh my gosh, that is so corny. That is so," and yet there's something about that is closer to the brand of Greg than just saying Greg Bornstein, hypnotherapist, healer, transcend your limitations. Da, 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 da. Like, no, he's the NY hypnosis guy. Like, I do think we are moving into a place now in the world in general where to deny that unique frequency of you that you're putting out there, that is you beyond the modality, beyond the even sometimes beyond the actual healing that you're gonna get from it, that direct transference of energy from a person is value in itself for a lot of people these days. So yeah, I definitely, maybe there is something there, Jason, I can play with. Wouldn't hurt to at least do a couple of just to get practicing again, do some sessions just to see what it feels like, knowing that entertainer guy is part of the package.
Yeah, and speaking of that, you got the entertainment part of the package, you got the hypnosis part of the package, you got the podcast part of the package. You're coming from all over the place. Who are your mentors? Who's directed you through your life in these different areas?
Oh my gosh. I mean, look, I'll give Spencer the credit for the podcast, but in terms of hmm, I mean, I think early on I was lucky enough to have some really good people in the community theater world in Dover, Massachusetts that believed in me as a young person and said, I mean, I had a drama teacher in high school who said to me, Greg, you should pursue this professionally. I mean, these adults that were there as guidestones for me in certain moments that just kept saying, do this. I look at those as little here's the skeptic saying it, but I will say is quote unquote angels whispering to you in a way. When you just hear that enough, or you have these people that come by and kind of validate the performer self, yeah. I can think of a few different figures. I don't think I was actively like under anyone's mentorship, and maybe that's the problem. But in terms of hypnosis, I mean, look, so let's see. Oh, I'll give a lot of credit to a few people in terms of also encouraging the scattered interests. Um, my father in his father, uh, they took me to the magic shop a lot growing up. The professional magician supply store, Hank Lee's in Boston, and the Watertown, the Magic Art Studio in Watertown. So I mean, the guy who was there, Ray Goulet, rest in peace. What an awesome older mentor figure in a way from a distance. Yeah, they consistently encouraged my interest in magic and were willing to take me to a place where there were professional magicians there and buy me adult props when I was 5. I
Nice.
mean, this is I give my my fathers a lot of credit for this. I'm very grateful for my dad for purchasing adult magic supplies when I was that young because it made me take it a lot more seriously. Um, and my grandfather for his ongoing. I mean, both of my grandparents, unfortunately, grandfathers on both sides have passed away, but he was, once a month, every Saturday for many years, he would take me with him. He would drive me to the magic store on a Saturday, and I'd get a new book, and it would just keep the interest in the hobby alive. On my mom's side, her father, he was a collector, an eclectic collector and bibliophile, um, had thousands of books. He was a biblical and American historian that had tons of artifacts, knew obscure historical things. You could sit down with him and kind of like what I'm doing with you guys right now sometimes, talk to you for hours about his interests. I think the fact that he was so supportive of me wanting to delve into books and I could talk with him and just learn and soak up this knowledge. I mean, I really think these grandparents have done a large number in terms of just making me believe that there is worth in pursuing the curiosities. So yeah, I've had these figures in my life that said you should perform. I've had people that, encourage me. I mean, I trained with Jeffrey Stevens, another person who passed away, Dr. Yvonne Oswald, I mentioned. Justin Trance was one of my trainers. I look at him as a mentor figure. But in terms of setting the path, uh, you know, I mean, I guess I've the Academy Award speech. Also thanking my mom. Yeah, I mean, she's definitely also, I mean, every single thing. She listens to every episode of the podcast. She's the number one fan, number one supporter. Also took me to all these places if these other figures in my life couldn't. Books, magic shows, I mean, Vegas, whatever it is. She's been amazing too. So I give her tons of credit. Yeah, I would just say a lot of parental and grandparent figures supporting my interest probably made in ways that I wish I could even give more credit. And I'm glad that you've given me the forum to do it here. Huge, huge impressions on me and big influences.
Nice. Well, I think now it's time because Scott's also a magician. So
Oh,
it's time to bring that in and let Scott take over here and say some things.
I'm not going to discuss magic. We're on his magical psyche highway. We can talk afterwards. We're not supposed to be able to discuss like that stuff anyway. It's a secret handshake you got to
that's right. That's right.
give.
Was it magic for you first or hypnosis?
Magic. When I was 8 years old,
Yes.
a book called Now You See It,
Bill Tar?
and yeah, well, part of it's a split from the TAR system, and this was a book that I can't remember the guy's name, but it's called Now You See It, and it's a big thick paper book that had a lot
Yes.
of pictures, and he described it really well going through it, how to cut a rope and how to do minor
Yes.
sponge ball effects and things, and it was just the basic going into it, and the cutting the rope in half and then putting it back together, it just did it for me. As a kid, I was like, what? Because you just can't fathom how that's happening. Even as an
Yes.
adult, so I love watching the different people do magic. Part of
Yeah.
here's a plug. Y'all can listen to me on Instagram.
Yes. I want to see it. I want to see the magic. Yeah, it's so interesting. It blends so well into hypnosis. It's amazing. I mean, this is why when you go to Hypnothoughts Live, there's always talks on mentalism and magic, and there's
Sure.
magicians around. I mean, it's even the suggestibility tests. I sometimes think, these suggestibility tests, they always talk about how um it's a little tricky. There's a little bit of sometimes there's a trick, quote unquote, to getting someone's eyes to be stuck or fingers to be locked. Um, and I don't necessarily look at that. Look, I was saying earlier, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing either, because I mean, James Tripp at Hypnothoughts this summer did a talk on Milton Erickson as a trickster. And I know Peter Blum, who you've had on this show, I went to a workshop he did a few months ago in Woodstock on the sacred clown, the trickster figure in general. I kind of where I used to go, okay, yeah, it's not pure hypnosis. Their fingers are coming together because physiologically their fingers come together when they're stressed out like this. I'm actually I'm a little more open to the idea that the trick or the trickster is something so archetypally significant that the idea that it's a means of accessing the unconscious, the subconscious, the right brain, the creative, whatever that is inherent in the design of it. A little trick, a little bit of playfulness, a little bit of something that it's not just you have to lie your way in the trance. Some people do think that. I think that's kind of the magic of it, the idea that it's two ideas at the same time, a little playful, and why you have to kind of slide under the radar of the critical faculty of the mind. To use that metaphor, I know a lot of hypnotists don't necessarily agree with that metaphor. I'm not sure still. I think that's what kind of makes it interesting. How do you get someone, we were talking about before the show, in hypnosis or under hypnosis or whatever it is, experiencing hypnosis? But that core tension of how it's done and the mechanics of it, and the fact that on the other side of it, something amazing is happening that I personally believe and have seen is beyond quote unquote suggestion or just trickery. To me, is the most mind blowing thing about it. It's the closest thing to real magic that I've been able to hold on to in my time on this earth so far, that I've seen with my eyes and experienced.
So, Greg, how do our viewers get a hold of you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram or Facebook at Greg Bornstein on Facebook, or at the Greg Bornstein on Instagram. But the primary means is through my show, Open Loops with Greg Bornstein, conversations that bend. An easy way to find, it's kind of like the link tree method of this, is podfollow.com/open loops. When you go to podfollow.com/open loops, it takes you right to your preferred podcast player and where you can find me on it. So yes, Open Loops with Greg Bornstein is the way. But yeah, please reach out on social media. I'm very open to DMs. I love talking to people about these ideas, about these concepts. And yeah, I want to get in loops with you. Let's open loops together forever.
Nice, nice. Keep that loop open. Hey, Scott, you got anything you want to add?
Hey, Greg, thank you for taking time out of your schedule and spending it with us.
Absolutely. Yeah, I very much appreciated the conversation, and through the few insightful questions that you both asked, you definitely have shifted my perspective. So thank you for taking me on the highway ride. It was a pleasant one, a very pleasant one.
Nice. Well, Greg, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, keep trancing out, people. We need to learn trances. If you're a hypnotist listening to this, you know the power. If you're not and you're listening and this is the first time you've ever heard of hypnosis, or you're newer to this stuff, I believe in the practice of a healthy trance every day. So yeah, do a trance a day for yourself. It's good for the soul.
Nice, nice. Okay, Greg, one more question because we're not letting you go this easy. So the big
Oh,
question, the big
uh-oh.
question. What are your words of wisdom that you want to leave our viewers?
Oh boy. Okay. Okay. Mm, mm, mm. I guess what I would say is this. Recently, I've been floating. There's never a sure thing. I never have a sure answer. The wisdom is always changing. And I think that's the way good wisdom should be in some ways. At least what applies to you at any time could shift. And I think that's good. That's good advice for the viewers and listeners. But what I would say is this: a lot of people do a lot of soul searching and digging and looking inside to find the answers. And I would challenge that, because I've been challenging that. How much of what you need is on the outside and you just haven't discovered yet?
Nice,
That's nice.
nice. Thanks, Greg. It's been a pleasure traveling down your magical psyche highway. We've certainly enjoyed ourselves.
Likewise.
Yeah, it's been a blast. So it's been a lot of fun traveling down your road, and we're glad you could be here. For our viewers out there, we're glad you're here too. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Please follow us, subscribe, all that stuff. If you like us, give us a thumbs up. If you think we're assholes, we don't care. Just give us a thumbs down. But we hope to see you here next week. Thanks for coming.
Wow, what a trip. Thanks for taking that journey with us today. Please like us, share us, and enlighten us with your views of the topics we drove into today. We appreciate you and love reading your comments. Thanks again, and we hope to see you back on the bus next week. That's right.